I'm not even trying to be funny about it. What we doing an intro?
Yeah.
Welcome back to episode 2 of the podcast, Bread and Butter, because it's your Fred and Butter, or it's our Fred and Butter.
It's our bread and butter.
They'll get it.
You know what's crazy? Today, a kid came and asked me for their home. A kid asked me help on their homework, and on their worksheet, it said, "What is the meaning of guns and butter?" I was like, this is the name of my TikTok.
GNB, yeah.
And then guns and butter, and it's a shame because I'm a history teacher. But guns and butter means something in U.S. history.
I thought you say you grabbed it from
Flatbush
Zombies, the song.
Yeah.
The song Guns and Butter.
Yeah.
But in the end, it said it explains the guns or you're the butter.
Yeah.
What does that mean though?
So the guns means and I might have this completely backwards, but the guns is the bullshit, the shit that doesn't have any value.
And butter's what, like the money? You're gonna have to read.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I have to replay that shit.
You've been.
But all right, guys.
Moniker for a couple of years. So the itinerary today. So we're picking up from the last time we recorded the first episode. Still Last of Us, but we're gonna dwell into something more broader, more closer, since the episode's about to come up. So we're gonna talk about.
I don't know. I just have the shits and giggles right now. Go ahead.
What's so funny?
I just have the shits and giggles.
Okay.
I'm still thinking about that guns and butter. And how am I called GMB and I still don't know what the hell guns and butter means? But we definitely have to pick up on the last episode, the last of Us.
Yeah. So we went a little bit into the history, and talked about the show and all that. But now we want to discuss now that it's very, very close, 2 days away actually. Today Friday, yep. So Friday the 11th, for the ones listening, because it might not come out. It'll be, the dates will be messed up when it comes out. It might come out after the episode airs, the first episode of season 2. But
this will show more of a ground zero. This is what we thought.
Yeah, ground zero. Our thoughts right before the episode.
People ever go back and dig up the archives.
Yeah.
Or they might use it against us too, because
Yeah.
Our opinions might change.
So essentially, just pretty much final thoughts on, now that the episode's about to air. We've come to the conclusion that it won't be the video game. We're just gonna have to embrace it for what it is. And what are your final thoughts, predictions?
Okay.
For the first episode and the entire season.
I'll give you my final predictions for episode 1. Episode 1 is probably going to be just like a setup episode, kind of reintroducing everybody, right? This is Ellie, this is Abby, this is Joel, and this is Dina, and then kind of serving as a introductory to other characters like Jesse, Eugene. Supposedly there's going to be a kid, so there's probably going to be an introduction. It's going to be like the introductory episode, while probably, we're also going to get introductions to maybe Abby and her group. What are your predictions for episode 1?
I was going to ask you, do you well, I guess, what I think is, I don't think they're going to show the big death scene episode 1.
Oh no,
I don't think, or maybe they will, because it's only 7 episodes, and from the early reviews, that some people that's been pretty positive, some slightly mixed. Like IGN gave it a 7, but IGN gave Penguin a 4, so it makes me think maybe it's something even more incredible, because if they give Penguin a 4, and Penguin was an amazing piece of television, they just gave this season a 7.
What did IGN give the show?
A 7.
7.
Even though they were pretty mixed with the review, but in there, I think that review and another couple other reviews that came out recently, because the embargo has been lifted for the show, is that it's following the structure of the game, the first half. So the first half being how it opens up, and something went down the night before, and then they have to go clean up nearby, snowstorm, and then and then the boom, and then the whole thing, and it sets off Ellie on her revenge course. And in the video game, the middle part of the video game is where Ellie, reaches her goals, gets her revenge, and then the main antagonist, which is Abby, catches up to her, and it kind of like full stops there, and then we go into Abby's side of the story.
For season two.
Talking about for the game.
Yeah, of
So
course.
so I'm assuming the season one probably gonna end where Abby catches up to Ellie.
So
Then
yeah,
full stop.
that's kind of your predictions for the whole season.
I assume so because of the reviews now.
Now,
Because at first I was worried what structure they're doing because in the trailers you will see Isaac, you will see the scars, and you do see the scars on Ellie's side, but you only see it as their surface level. You don't get to really experience scars until you're on Abby's side. It looks like they're gonna give us more perspective on the scars on the Ellie side, and we're gonna see some Isaac footage or minutes in the season,
yeah.
which we don't get to see until we reach Abby. So I'm a little skeptical on the overall structure, but it's apparently gonna follow the game structure a little bit.
Okay. How many episodes is this season going to be?
7.
So, if you had to guess, how do you think each episode would be broken down into if it
Mm,
is going to be split? Like, how would you?
I think episode 1 will
So,
be
like, break it down, like episode one, episode two, episode three,
episode
episode.
1 will probably be like you said. It'll reintroduce the characters. It'll probably do the similar opening to the game where as soon as they get to Jackson,
Yeah.
Joel does a little I'm gonna give you the guitar, he
Yep.
sings to her. Then we cut to like 5 years later and Ellie's a bit more grown up and they've been living there for a while. And then kinda like the game. I think we'll get all of that in the first episode. I think I don't know, it's hard to say. I think the second episode will include I think it'll include the death of the big character right at the beginning of the episode, and it'll set off the beginning of the course of going to embark on the revenge
On the
journey.
revenge arc. So
Yeah,
you think
because
it'll?
it's too much to cover in one episode. It's a lot. There's a lot of story, but we'll see. I mean, know how it is. 7 episodes. They could very well do everything in the first episode.
Yeah, I think if I had to put it, I would say episode one. It is that introduction
Mm,
episode, and the guitar part telling. And I feel like this time it won't start off with how in the Last of Us game it started off with him talking to Tommy. It's gonna start off with him talking to the therapist, telling this is what I did, this is what happened. Would I do it again? Yes, right.
mm,
I'll take it to the grave. But maybe the therapist is saying that this time. And yeah, then episode one will probably end with the cliffhanger, and clip it here. But I 1000% know that episode one's gonna end with him extending his hand to Abby. The cliffhanger will be
that
introducing to Abby in episode one. And episode two, we'll get the untimely death
yeah.
of Joel, and
I
then
don't
episode
know.
three, the
I could.
episode two and episode three, starting off the journey. I feel like episode three will be a day of just pure. I feel like episode three will be Seattle Day, right? Seattle, and knowing with the pacing of the show, they'll get to Seattle and they won't be there that long. A couple of exploring, and then they'll make it off to the theater. And then episode four I believe, will be like a Remembrance Day, or because the I'm not too sure here, but I do remember some of the actors saying that I think episode four is the one that was beautifully, like, it was like it was like the actors were crying that day, that it was like one of the best shooting days ever, which I believe will be the museum day, where he
That
plays
could
it.
be it. Yeah. After.
Episode four will be the museum day, and episode five will be, her going to the
Yeah.
aquarium. And then,
Yeah.
episode six will be that big showdown. And scattered between episode three or episode five, we will get Isaac's introduction. But I do believe that episode four will probably be the Ellie, because they can't dedicate the whole hour episode straight to the aquarium. They can't. It took a long time in the game because, of course, it's the game, you play through it. But I bet you'll be like 20 minutes aquarium, 20 minutes Eugene, and 20 minutes Isaac, because they got to introduce Isaac there too. But I feel like one of those episodes, there's gonna be an episode where we completely forget about the journey of Ellie. And now to think about it, there's so much shit they gotta put in. There's so much.
There's so much ground to cover on Ellie's side of the story. Yeah, I'm thinking because I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to pick my brain back and remember some of the interviews, and they did say there's. I think there's two standalone episodes, and I think one of those is Isaac's with the scars, and maybe Abby, and one of it's the Eugene one.
Yeah,
So they're already killing out of seven. They're already killing two. Possibly one episode will be dedicated to Joel's death. Introductory episode. There's only 3 episodes. Maybe each episode will be Seattle Day 1, 2, and 3, kind of like the game.
yeah.
But it's a lot of ground to cover for just 7 episodes in the first half. And in the press tour, the actress playing Abby, she's been in all the interviews, tour, everything. So she's not just relegated to it won't be just a small part because in the game, yeah, you use it feels like a long time because you're playing as Abby. But if you say you just condensed it, you edited it down, the video game cutscenes with some gameplay, Abby only appears for a little bit in the beginning when you use her, and she does what she does, and that's it. The rest of it's all Ellie. So I assume we're gonna get more Abby on Ellie's side, and then next season, who knows how they'll approach it? Maybe then we'll see more of Abby's side, which is I don't know. It's a little concerning because they they said that they were gonna shoot back to back. I don't know if they ever did because I just saw recently that Craig Mazin said he hasn't written anything for season 3. So that means there's gonna be a year in between. So it won't come out next year. I'm thinking it was gonna come out next year, kind of like how old TV shows used to be. Every year there
Yeah,
was a season.
that's
If
kind of confusing.
if there's a year in between for a cliff, they leave it a cliffhanger. Where Abby catches up to Ellie, full stop, and then it's Abby's story. A year in between, and then for people are gonna want to figure out what happened, and then it's gonna go into Abby's story for for 6, 7 episodes
Yeah,
to
you
then
might.
get that conclusion in season 3. And I don't know,
That is
guys.
kind
Well,
of that opens a lot of questions too because you're right. In the game, it flows like
you don't have to stop. You keep
you
going.
you just keep going.
Yeah,
And you're talking about Craig Mason. He didn't say he said he hasn't wrote anything for season 3.
the way that's how the headlines are running with it. That he hasn't started, but now he's about to start since it's been renewed. I remember when season 2 was in development, when it was renewed for season 2, there was all these rumors that they were going to split it. They were going to split it because it's too much. It's too much of a big game for it to be one season. It might even be 3 seasons, follow part 2. We might do all of it together, but of course they're going to then release 2, 3, 4.
Jesus
But
Christ.
apparently, I think they only did the 7 episodes, and
You know that now
now they start shooting immediately this year. There's a chance it could come out next year, but it was a 2-year gap between 1 and 2. It was pretty quick. Like we talked about in the last episode, the development from when it was greenlit for a show to the first episode was a pretty big gap. It's like
yeah, was it
3, 4 years
yeah, I
almost.
do remember that. Yeah.
And from when it started filming, it was still like a 2 year. I remember we got like the photo of the first look, and then 2 years later, the first episode
Yeah,
finally debuted.
I do
So
remember
it's
that.
been a smaller gap this time, only a year since. But there's like I said, they said they from what they've said in those interviews, no season three's been nothing for season 3 has been done. Nothing's been written.
Maybe that's just to hype us up, but God, do you really think they might end it in just 7 episodes?
No, it's the first half. Like I said, from the reviews, it's
But it just
covering.
makes no sense how
It's just the wait if they do decide to end on the cliffhanger, a year and a half wait
year and a half wait they might want to do it Walking Dead style
to get.
to build hype, but even though everyone already knows now, that brings me to another question, man. Would it have been better? How would you have liked it? For it to
No
be
show.
oh
Yeah,
no show. Yeah, of
yeah.
course that would be no show, right? But like if they do every episode, and I don't think they do this in media, but do 7 episodes, but an hour and 30 each, or hour like
Then they're just movies almost.
I mean, that's what it has to be. Because just think about it. Yeah, they even casted, you know, the group.
Some.
Owen,
Mhm.
um, I forget Owen's
They
girlfriend's name right now. She's escaping my name. Owen,
Mel.
Abby, Mel. God, poor Mel.
They casted everyone but that annoying Asian looking dude
The
with the
Hispanic
cap.
guy.
No, the Hispanic guy's casted. The guy
Oh,
with
oh yeah.
the guy with the one that the first one
The
that they kill.
oh, that's fucking
The one
kicks the shit out of Ellie in the stomach or some shit like that. Oh, he cuts him.
cuts her.
They didn't cast him,
He's
but
no.
they showed there was their casting. So I'm thinking they have to be included somewhere in the episode. Like they have to show up somewhere. I realize that my predictions for each episode is
What if it opens up? What if the episode opens up? It's in there because there's also more. I guess they're giving. Oh, the word I was looking for last episode from what the Last of Us one season one TV show did away with that what which the game had which the game had and the show didn't was subtext things said between the lines not really said out loud
yeah.
and they gave us all that in the season one. They
Yep.
over explain things. I feel like it's happening again and a little. I guess a little bit again in this season because there is going to be. What if it opens up with the perspective of Abby seeing it go down in the hospital? Because we do have that shot of. We're gonna have a
Oh,
shot of all the.
true.
We're gonna
Yeah.
have the shot of all the from we've seen in trailers. We're gonna have the shot of all the like graves and Abby crying at the grave of her father's.
And to and to give a little bit of context, maybe you didn't watch episode for the people who didn't watch episode 1, but the sub context we're talking about is like in the beginning when we started playing Last of Us Part 2,
We don't know what happened.
we had no idea what was happening. When
Mhm.
we saw this random white buff girl,
Mhm.
we were like, who is this?
Who is she? Why am I using
why
her?
am I using her?
Mhm.
And we kept playing, then we kept playing, and we kept playing, and we didn't know,
Yeah.
and we didn't know, and then we didn't know until we finally got to a scene where we're like, oh my god, this is who this person is. So
Yeah.
to give the viewers context, we think and how the Last of Us show has been operating is that right in the beginning, they're gonna tell you who Abby is immediately with
Yeah.
no guessing.
And they're gonna make us feel bad for Joel. So when it does happen,
Yeah.
we're gonna be torn right from the beginning.
We're gonna be torn right from the
Yeah,
beginning.
it'll be like, Joel was getting his life together. He was nice, he was
Seeing a
seeing a
therapist, he was
therapist.
raising a
I'm like,
kid.
oh, but he did that
Yeah, immediately.
already. And then we're gonna be thinking about no, Ellie,
Yeah.
Whereas in the game gave us the option. Well, that's how Neil Druckmann wanted to
So
push the theme, whereas we see without knowing, and then we also go on that rage, but then we find out, and then by the end of it, we either grow from it or we.
now going back to our expectations for the first episode and the season throughout, does that change the meaning or the theme of the show compared to the game? Because you're right, because in the beginning, we're like, fuck that, we want revenge. Like I don't give a like when she killed Abby, when Abby killed Joel, we didn't give a damn. We spent the whole half not caring. We just wanted
Mhm.
revenge.
And it's funny because you're right, because in the game, we everything's subtext. We don't know, everything's between the lines. We start using Abby. We don't know who Abby is. Why am I using Abby? And I don't know if you got the same feeling playing the game, but when we're using Abby and she's about to, she's surrounded by the zombies. Nowhere she gets saved by Joel.
It didn't feel right.
It didn't feel. I'm like, oh, I remember feeling like, oh my, I couldn't even get excited, even though for this character, because like, what is this coincidence here? What is this?
I didn't. I felt happy because oh shit, Joel, right? We finally get to see Joel.
I felt off,
but it did feel off because it was like, first of all, there's a shitload of zombies, but also you're supposed to feel off when you meet random groups in these type of worlds. I mean
that's true.
I felt off in the survival instincts of like, because my mind, I didn't even know. My mind, I didn't even think that it felt off. I just felt off like survivor's instinct. Like, Joel, what are we doing here? Why are you helping this person in this type of world? You being one of those people that have been on the other side of morality and in this zombie world. Why are you helping them? Yeah. And then when Tommy, and this is where I knew everything was off. Didn't even know who Abby was. But when Tommy was like, why don't you come back with us? Come stock up your gear and then you'll be on your way. I was thinking like, the fuck? We don't do this shit in zombie worlds. But I at that point, funny enough, I didn't even know what was happening. I
I
guess
like to me, like I said, when the second is, you're gonna I forget what he says when you first meet Joel as Abby.
so. Does that change? Okay,
So
so does that change?
it might change
So
it because
does that change the?
if we get that context in the beginning, if it opens up with
It
Abby's
won't be about
perspective,
revenge no more.
it'll be about revenge, but
It won't be about revenge though.
it will be about revenge because it'll still show
It'll be
Ellie.
about morality, who's right and who's wrong.
Oh
Because that changed the whole
yeah,
theme. Because you play
yeah, I
15
guess.
hours of the game without the theme of morality. You go with the theme of revenge, seeking
Neil
revenge.
Druckmann said that the first game was about love, and I think the second game was about hate. Don't
Hate.
quote me. I have to go back because he did explain, what the
So
themes
does
were.
that change? Because that just changes everything. Because now, if we do get that scene in the beginning, it'll be more of viewers like, is Abby right? Is Abby wrong? Is Ellie right? Is Ellie wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Like straight from the beginning, where there's gonna be a gear shift of change, and then they're gonna start showing us throughout episodes. Ha! I got it now. Look, in the beginning, they're gonna show Abby watching Joel kill the dad, right? And we'll be like, oh damn, Joel had to do this. And then we're gonna be playing both sides. Like we're gonna it's gonna be a point for Abby's right and a point for Abby was wrong. Because then we'll probably get the episode of Eugene, right? And there's rumors that Eugene is going to die by Joel.
Joel's
That
hand.
Joel's gonna unalive him because he knows the secret. And then we'll all be like, damn,
Because
maybe Abby was right. Maybe
Yeah.
Abby should have done this. And then we're gonna be playing with that.
who's right
That's
or who's wrong. That could be
who's right and who's wrong. That's gonna be the thing. Because then they'll be like, damn, Joel did this. But then they'll be like, but damn, he's he's going to a therapist. And then it'll be shit like that. And then with Abby, it'll be like, damn, Abby, you killed Joel, but you're trying to get your life together with, if you do eventually find the scar. But then you'll probably be like, damn, but you're trying to take Owen from Mel. So it'll be.
There's also going to be a huge set piece that's not in the game, I think. Well, I mean, it's in the game, but it never reaches Jackson. That horde is going to reach Jackson, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, it's taking a page out of Walking Dead a little bit. That season 6.
Yeah.
Remember how season 6 opens up? The first episode,
yeah,
black and white. And they're figuring out because they find a horde that's been contained in the cliff.
Trying to figure out a way to
guide it out.
Steer them a different way.
But then it reaches the.
Now,
going back to that, here's another thing too. Another prediction. The Walking Dead at its peak, biggest show, up there with Game of Thrones, all the other shows at that time. Time before streamers, it was pulling 16 million viewers a week on cable TV, on network TV. Before streamers they were around, but before they were really big.
Yeah.
Negan episode happens, the biggest episode of all time for them. 20 million viewers that Sunday or whatever, probably more. But immediately went down because they decided to kill 2 characters in a gruesome manner, and people lost interest. Carl died, more interest. Rick left, showing under as far as viewership.
Yeah.
Even though apparently it did pick up critically. Apparently it was still a good story. But me, as a longtime fan, I lost interest when Rick left.
Yeah.
Because they did major storylines where Rick was a major character. So that goes back into The Last of Us, where really, that was a lot of the pushback, a lot of the controversy with the second game, because they were killing off Joel. People really love Joel.
Okay.
So I wonder it'll be that. I wonder if the show will suffer that same.
It's okay.
Fall off.
Fall off like just like Walking Dead.
If they even do Joel's death, I wonder.
They're gonna do his death.
I'm really curious how they're gonna do his death.
They're gonna do his death. I mean,
okay, spoiler alert.
So I feel this all goes down towards motivation and demographic and viewers. Let me talk about the demographic and viewers. So Walking Dead, it was a bunch of teenagers, families, people who have cable TV watching it, right? And maybe a small percentage of people who have read the comics or knew that Glenn had to die or knew that Abraham had to die. So Abraham, for the people who read the comics, already were like, well, Abraham's already made it more than he should have. And then everybody already knew that Glenn, this is how Glenn dies, Even the actor said that, he wanted his death. He didn't want to change anything. True fans true fans stayed with the show because they knew this was happening, right? While that other demographics of just general audience that are watching the show, not even knowing that it was a comic, yeah, of course they're gonna bounce. They're gonna see Glenn get bashed in a horrific way.
Yeah.
They're gonna not want to see anymore because their favorite character just died. Because they're gonna think, oh, why did the director do this change? Why did they do this? Right now, now it goes towards motivation, right? So, for example, wait, before I get to motivation, I forgot to talk about The Last of Us. When this same thing happens to Joel, Last of Us players we're
No.
gonna stick around because we know what's gonna happen. Now, maybe a parent or maybe a random person that's just watching the show for the very first time, they're gonna be like, hell no, I'm done. You know, I'm not watching this. Hell no. And then
True.
just leave it, right? Now this plays into motivation and factors. Now, Last of Us players, they could have dropped the game as soon as Joel died, but then our motivation played in of revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Hell no, right? Joel died in a very bad way. You want to seek revenge for it. Now, let's say Joel dies of a bite.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna be motivated to play the rest of the game because Joel died of a bite?
Yeah, probably
No.
not.
Now, you said you stopped watching. You stopped watching because of Rick, right?
Rick.
Rick, right? Longtime viewers of the comics, and this goes back to motivation. Know that Rick, he goes all the way, right?
He goes all the way.
He goes all the way. He doesn't.
Spoiler: he dies, but he goes all the way.
But he goes all the way, right? He
Mm.
he goes all the way. Who also goes all the way?
Carl
Carl goes all the way. So now
He goes all the way, way.
and now you see how Carl sadly dies of a bite. No motivation. You even think to yourself,
You even kill the character's motivation too.
yeah,
Even,
you
yeah.
think to yourself, why do I watch if Carl just died? That's the motivation of Rick. And then even Andrew Grimes said that,
Andrew Lincoln.
or Andrew Lincoln,
Andrew
Michael
Grimes.
Blind, but Andrew Lincoln said, why am I even playing this role
He
if
said-
if Carl is dead?
He
That
said
was my
Rick has two engines. You know, the girl. God, her name is escaping me.
Michonne.
No, her daughter, the one that could have been Shane's,
Oh shit! What
And
was her name?
Carl.
And Carl.
and he said one engine was kind of lost. No, I forget. It was either the wife or wife and Carl. Then the wife wins away. Then the last engine's the
Yeah.
Carl, and also the daughter. But then you take Carl away, and he said he kind of felt like he felt like his character was kind of like, what's he here for now?
Exactly. Now,
Even though he came back eventually, but
it's going to take that similar. There's going to be a dip in viewership with his death, and there's going to be a new profound hate for Neil Druckmann now, but this time from regular viewers,
from the
right?
TV people.
But I feel like the majority of the people who watch it are Last of Us fans, so we're just gonna we're excited for the show, even though everybody knows what the hell is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're excited for that. We're excited for that episode where they do the museum and the spaceship because we know why. So we're excited, but not excited. New fans, even though if you're tuning in right now, we spoiled a lot, but they're gonna want to keep watching it if they play the cards right. Because at the end of the day, if they don't like a character, they're not good. They're gonna turn that shit off. If they don't like Abby, for example, let's say no video game ever existed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was Last of Us show, and then I fell.
All of us are going in blind, yeah.
And then we're going to this blind. Do you think I'm gonna want to keep watching after Joel dies? Put it to you this way: let's say we watch Breaking Bad and they kill Walter White in season 3, and the next 4 seasons is just Jesse Pinkman. Are you gonna want to watch it? Hell no.
I mean, maybe out of curiosity.
But it'll definitely lose. So
yeah, but
I know for a fact there will be a dip, but not a slight dip.
Yeah.
Not a big dip. Now, do you have any predictions or expectations on the characters? Like Joe, we've already been talking about Joe.
It's going.
Okay, I know there's been a lot of talk on Ellie, but let's kind of talk about let's talk about Dina, and let's talk about I forget his name is forgetting his name right now. Jesse. Let's talk about Dina, Jesse, Joel's brother. What's his Tommy? What do you think? What are you thinking? Any predictions for those characters?
I haven't seen. Maybe they're keeping it close to the vest. but I haven't seen anything in the trailers. We've only seen one thing in the trailers of Ellie's journey, her revenge journey. We see the guitar with Dina, which is the part in the game where they're kind of open worldish. We've seen Jesse and Ellie, because they eventually meet up, because
Yeah.
and we've seen Ellie chase forget her name, the girl that she chases in the hospital that he beats down,
Nora.
Nora. So we know it's gonna happen. We know the revenge story is gonna happen. But only thing we've seen of Tommy is him with the horde attack and him firing the. I worry that they're not gonna give Tommy his revenge arc because he has a family in this game. I think he has two kids in this game. This in the story.
Well,
Whereas in the show, there's no kids.
so I believe that maybe they'll give him his revenge arc because now there's gonna be that
No, because
who's right and who's wrong. I'm telling you with the theme because then it'll be like, damn, Tommy left his son and wife. While in the beginning is like Tommy, yeah, he did leave his wife, but it's like, come on. Now there's more of a damn Tommy. You're
It
gonna
could be
leave.
more of a
You're gonna leave your kid.
There'll be more of a damn
Okay.
true.
What about Dina? Do you want Dina to be? Do you want a bit more from Dina, or if they just do the same?
The same thing. Yeah, there's no need for more. Less is more.
I know, but according to
Same.
according to Craig Mason and Neil Druckmann, more is more. If not, we would if this wasn't true, we wouldn't be getting a Eugene episode.
Which is like in the game. In the game, it's never even alluded to. I mean, we know who Eugene is. We know he served with Tommy, and we know he was a gadget guy, and we know he grew weed. That's it. He was a cool little background character. That's it.
I would rather
serve
want a
nothing
Tommy
to the
episode.
Serve nothing to the plot. Now we're giving him
A full
episode, and apparently he knew Ellie's. But we didn't need that in the game.
Exactly.
Why do we need it in the show?
Okay.
I don't know. I guess to again to play with the audience to show, oh, Joel's making a comeback. We're making he's making progress. And he did this. So we're gonna be back and forth with is he right or is he wrong for the show.
Any predictions on Ellie?
I think she'll still go through the same character arc of the game. I don't know if she'll hit those emotional beats the same.
I know.
Bella Ramsey's a good actress. I'm not saying she's not a.
Yeah,
I'm not saying she's a bad actress because she has some great scenes in season 1. For what she did in season 1 was good, but I hate to say it, she's terribly miscast for this part of the story. For this part of the story.
There's this photo that's going around, and it just like
it's not about her.
It removes every force in my body to watch this show. And if you keep up with my TikTok, you know that I've been saying this shit.
It's not,
and I'm not even hating on Bella Ramsey.
It's not to me. It's not to me. It's not her look. I personally don't think she's ugly. Me personally, like that one guy with the meme.
She's very beautiful to me.
I think she's just miscast.
Yeah, because somebody in my TikTok
for this
comments
part of the
was trying
story
to say that people are over sexualizing, want to just over sexualize Ellie, and
I don't think that's it.
I think people just want an accurate character
and
to look like Ellie.
True.
How come they got Joel to look the same, but they couldn't get Ellie to look the same? That's the main.
There's some key changes too to the like in season 1 and some key changes in this season 2. But
and Ellie and let me tell you something, right? Which my expectations of the characters, I wish Ellie would be a bit more quirky in this, even though the quirkiness is completely gone in The Last of Us Part 2. But I feel like Bella Ramsey's Ellie is annoying rather than quirky. Mm-hmm. She's annoying, even with that small clip that we saw where I'm infected, everybody, I'm infected, when she's with Tommy. That shit's annoying rather than quirky how she was in the game.
Yeah. So I did see a complaint of that one of the reviews that Bella's performance, even though it's good, the parts where she plays her younger self, she plays really good again. Where I guess the flashbacks, but where she needs to be a more grown person, is like the emotional performance is not there.
Yeah, and
so it's like And I don't know how. Maybe it's hard because it's hard to say because sure we see the difference in the game because they can model an older character, but the voice actor is the same, and the voice actor wasn't a kid when she voiced Ellie.
Yeah,
It was just well written as a kid
well
to
written.
be well written to be for a kid
Yeah,
to play a kid, and very well written to play for her to be more mature grown person,
yep,
19 years old. So forget her name, the one who plays Ellie in the video games. She performed that pretty well. Aside from the writing being really good, her performance as a kid was really good because acting, performance as a younger adult, or older adult, or older, or much older than a kid was really good, believable.
believable.
Not because they're not the same Ellies no more. That Last of Us Two Ellie,
Is
not the
different.
same from that Last of Us. And even when you get even in the flashbacks, that Ellie, that young, it still mirrors the game one Ellie.
Yeah,
So it's great acting
that's the
on
thing.
Ellie. What was
Yeah,
it Ellie? What's her name? Johnson, I think the actress, the voice actress. Whereas Bella, well, I'm yet to see. I know that's what the critics are saying. I've yet to see it, but from that one clip, yeah, where I don't know what the context of the clip is. In fact, that's like that feels like season one Ellie.
and oh damn. And you know what's crazy? Last of Us Part 2, Ellie would never say that because she's already more mature and she's already pissed off because at that point, when she is with Dina throwing the snowballs, she's pissed because of the night before the dance,
Mm-hmm.
and she's pissed off already because she knows what Joel told her, the big secret that he
Mm-hmm.
lied to her. So she's not like fucking around anymore.
Yeah.
She's not now.
No, that lie, it came up thing a little way a bit earlier,
No. So when it looks
or when
like
figures out the lie.
in the beginning of the game, she already knows the lie.
Yeah, but it had already been a couple years since she knew.
It
I
had
think.
been 2 years,
Yeah, 2 years since she
I
knew.
think, two. But she was already
She was tired from the night
she was tired
before,
from the night
but she had made
before.
up with Joel, but we don't know that at that point.
She had made it with Joe a little bit, but she was still pissed off.
That's another thing too. In the trailers, we see the part where she makes it with Joel.
Yeah. So who knows the
We don't
goddamn pacing of it?
we don't get to see that until the very end of the game.
Like the last 10 minutes after you go through
That's
trauma hell,
why is that
and
being
you get there the
why is
last
that being
5 minutes.
shown?
Now,
Oh, shit.
so before seeing the episode, I mean, I know this is kind of crazy, but what would you rate it? I mean, what would you
I'm excited. I can rate by excitement
excited? How
levels.
excited are you?
6 out of 10 so far.
I would say, I guess I'm excited.
Hmm.
New Last of Us content.
Yeah,
I'd
and
say I would be a 7. Like that's my overall hype
I'm
for it.
okay. I'm okay with added content if it doesn't add context. You know,
Yeah,
if it's new, you're adding new things that serve as a story in a new way, but without having to over explain things. Like I'm excited to see like they bring spores, which is like why not even why remove them? Just have them in the first season, because the spores play a big part in one and a big part in two.
yeah, it does. It definitely plays a big part, and they had to come back to the spores. Yeah, I guess there's definitely a lot of now. What about clickers? You want to see a lot of clickers or
Here's another thing
zombies?
I read in the reviews, which I only read a couple, that they overdid the they overdid it in clickers and zombies in this season. So we're gonna see a lot of them. Whereas in the first season we didn't see a lot of them, and people were, oh, where are they at? And now, oh, they did too many of them.
Isn't that
People
funny?
are never happy. Like now you're getting them, and now you don't want them.
Okay,
First season they weren't there, and you wanted them.
you're about to dislike me though, because
You didn't want them in
I
this
don't
one.
look. I don't want him in this.
I told you before that to me another character in part two, to me, in many ways are those zombies, and the violence itself is another character.
Yeah, but the violence is not towards the clickers. The violence is towards the human.
Yeah, true, but
It's like in this story, in this
Ellie's taking her rage on everything that comes in front of her,
this is
and it's
like
also those clickers, and it's also the people. And to me,
what ma-
the monsters have a more pivotal. To me, they have a more pivotal role in the second
it
game.
really feels like this is Ellie.
Whereas to me, in the first game, they're really, to me they're just background things.
No, that feels like with Last of Us Part Two. They're like more
No,
background
to me they're
things.
background things in part one.
Because you can't name me one memorable clicker moment in Last of Us Part Two with Ellie.
Yes, there is.
Which
The
one?
bloater. Where you
The
fall through the thing and you face the bloater.
what thing?
Where you fall through the roof in the arcade and you face the bloater. That's a pivotal one. When you face the bloater
That's
with,
not a
with
pivotal.
Joel.
That's not a pivotal
Those
moment.
are I remember
I tell you, that's not a
when you
pivotal
when you
moment.
face the stalkers for the first time.
That's not pivotal.
That's pivotal. Those are
You
moments
know
that
what's more pivotal? When you get to Hillcrest and you're fighting 10 humans, you're fighting 30 humans with 3
that's
dogs.
also pivotal. I'm
But
telling
I'm
you,
talking about more pivotal, more
to
vital.
me, the
It feels like
to me the violence is what's a character in itself in the game,
yeah,
which includes getting the humans and getting the things, the clickers.
but I honestly believe it's
Where they're
just
just obstacles in the first
no.
story.
There
They're
are
just
obstacles in this game. And
they're
let me tell you why
yes,
there's
they're
obstacles in this
obstacles,
game
but
because
they're also part of the
they're more like it's like oh shit,
because if you're playing the
clickers are
game,
here.
if you're playing the game, I mean, maybe this is what I'm thinking. If you're playing the game, the second game, you're not thinking about that no more. You're not. You're trying to get to you're trying to get to that revenge, and you're
No,
decimating humans and you're decimating these clickers
and
at the
again,
same time.
this is kind of where you're wrong. In the beginning, in the first game, it was more towards zombies because you're trying to find Ellie has the cure. Ellie has the cure for the zombies. Sam, Sam,
It
the
is.
little brother dies because he got bit. Uh, Tess, she gets bit. You find Frank hanged up. You know,
Yeah, there is
it's
more,
there's more.
but
There's
that's more for the ending themes of the story where for Joel, then Annie does what he does,
in
even though
this one, it's like who gets bit in the game that it's more of we gotta find these characters. We gotta find Nora. We gotta find Abby. We gotta find this. There's more emphasis on the scars than there is.
and you got the scars too.
Did you ever see a scar fight a zombie? Did you see any of that? You see what I'm saying? I feel like Last of Us Part 2, it's more character story driven than and I'm not
It
saying it's a
is.
bad thing.
It is. But I'm telling you that the violence is a character in
Oh,
itself
violence is the character, yeah, but
for the humans and the things, and I think there is more. To me, there's more memorable clicker. I mean, there's memorable clicker moments in the first or zombie moments in the first game. I feel
now
like there's more in the second game. The two bloater scenes, the the Rat King stalker, the stalker section. Uh, it's a lot.
and with that, that leaves us to Sunday. Where you ready for the episode on Sunday? And
I'm 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 curious.
I'm curious too, and we're gonna be breaking it down.
Yeah,
We'll as soon as we're done watching it, we're
we'll
gonna
probably do our immediate first
our
thoughts
immediate first thoughts
right
on it,
after.
and well, I
And
can't.
there was. I mean, I would like. I mean, it's hard for me to place where the whole season's going to be at. I know it'll be the first half of the story. But I know there was a video out there where this one guy tries to predict where the story beats my land based on the directors. So yeah, so skeptical and curious for episode one this Sunday. And what are you feeling?
I'm ready. It kind of sucks. I wish I would have played the game before, but I didn't played it 1,000 times, so I'm just ready.
I don't need to.
I'm just ready for Sunday.
We just saw the Jetro
yeah
game through, so the game's pretty recent in my memory.
So we're ready.
So we'll see, and yeah, we'll see how it is, and we'll, like you mentioned, we'll keep up with it.
All right,
week by week. But
okay.
But I'll let you close us out.
Okay. Well, this was episode 2 of the Guns and Butter podcast.
Guns and Butter podcast. The Fred and Butter podcast.
The Fred and Butter podcast. Shit. It'll be mine soon enough. No, I'm playing. But make sure you follow us on TikTok, on Twitter, YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. All the stuff will be in the description. And we'll catch you next week. As soon as the episode is done, we'll do an update and what our thoughts were on the episode. And we'll catch you over there. All right, guys.
Peace.